Welcome to Season 2 of the Biz Show, sponsored by InvestQuire. And now, your hosts, Barry and Lisa.
Good morning, Barry. Best pitch.
Lisa Manifold, or should I say Lisa? How are you today?
I'm good, BB. I'm doing great. Happy Friday.
It is a Friday. It's the end of the work week for most, and time to kick back a little bit, relax, and focus on what the strategies are for next week, right?
I know it's a good regrouping and rejuvenating time. Hopefully, people have that available to them over the weekend. I do not work.
Well, as a real estate agent, both residential and commercial, you work seven
I
days a week and
could.
24 hours a day, right?
We could work 8 days a week. We had
Uh,
the opportunity.
I, I
Yeah.
I I don't envy you that at all, man. I did that at a couple past companies, as a district manager in the past. And man, my phone would go off every single day about 6 in the morning and go to about 2 at night. And I just like,
Oh, yeah. The good
Tammy
old
was getting frustrated with me too. She's like, "Can't you shut that thing up?" I'm like, "I can't. I've got
days.
100."
Yeah. It is just, yeah, that's when you become a slave to your job, right?
Right.
And
Well,
we're going to kind
listen,
of talk about that today. We're going to talk about some of those mistakes we make.
we are, basically, we're going to set up the top 10 mistakes startups typically make, ranking them by impact, right? What has the most impact or at least impact to the most impact? And, you and I have both been in the past here. We've done some of these mistakes for sure. But, it's kind of what you know and what you don't know. And basically, how do you get through it?
That's right. And, mistakes are opportunity for learning. And so it's always good to have some of those along the way, right?
Right. I've always looked at them as opportunities, right? Let's face it. You've said this many, many times. I'm going to repeat it for you.
Uh-huh.
Fail forward, right? You always want to fail forward.
That's right.
And 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 I've always said failure is part of success, right? You're going to fail before you succeed.
That's
So
right.
if you can combine those two, right, you're going to have that failure. Make sure you fail forward, meaning, make an opportunity out of it.
Yes. And if you feel like you don't know how to resolute through a failure, then you can reach out to InvestQuire. You can reach out to us and we can help walk through it and maybe find a better mode of operation.
Yes, we can definitely help you. Feel free. Lisa and I are available to help you along your journey.
That's
So,
right.
so let's dive in. Let's get into, so, these are some of our um, things that we know about failure, but also of colleagues that I've spoke to and stuff like that, of how they rank and what's important, so on and so forth. But the first one is, and really, I think this probably needs to be the first one, not the 10th one, right? But it's market research and failing to do it or ignoring what you've got in front of you.
And it's at your fingertips. So it's kind of stupidity to ignore it because it's so easy to gather it nowadays. You don't have to go to a library or look at, past newspaper articles. You actually could just pick up your phone and find the information.
We've talked about this in the past, and it's probably about time for us to kind of circle the wagon or circle back around to AI. But, AI is a really good source because it goes out and scans everything and brings back and shows you. It's a lot better than Google search and stuff like that, right?
Everybody's,
So,
it's just such a daily
yeah,
word.
it is.
Remember, a year ago, it really wasn't. And now it's like every single person is using it. And
So,
some people don't like to admit that they use it because then it shows laziness, perhaps.
I use it here and there along the way because it helps me. There's so much going on in my day. It helps me narrow down the things that I really have to focus on, and then I can get information. I use it for informational purposes, right?
Oh,
But
okay.
Sam Altman just announced with OpenAI, they just came out with this new AI system called Operator.
Oh, yeah?
an operator can do things online for you. Like you can set it up to do automatic purchases, go onto a website and purchase stuff for you and all this other stuff. Or, kind of like they have the chat bots where people are on your website and then they can chat with the chat bot and stuff like that. But it's 100 times more powerful.
That's really cool.
So
there was going to be some competitor coming out with a similar app or
yeah,
product.
yeah, I'm sure, Um,
But
and
no, that kind of ties into this one, right?
yeah, it does tie in. If you're using AI, it has a plethora of information it can provide you. Market research is one of them. So you really should take a look at that. And if you get surveys and feedback from your customers, which is also on here,
Yeah.
we'll talk about a little bit more. You need to analyze that stuff because those are your buyers. Those are your customers who are buying your product.
Yeah, you always want to be thinking of the future, how you could, be the number one company amongst your competition. So definitely stay on track with that. And like Barry said, yeah, break out the AI and check it out and get your a lot quicker.
Well, it's funny because all you got to do is go into, let's say, Chat GPT or into Gemini and say, um, give me the marketing facts about car washes if I'm starting a new business. And it will go through and basically help you.
From A to Z, right? It's very
Uh,
thorough.
Pretty much. But you still have to analyze that data because it does come back with wrong data here and there because it scours the internet, YouTube videos, and all this other stuff. And some people put trash out there, right? Garbage in, garbage out.
Well, and if you know your industry, you also want to use your own logic and thinking and your own brain and take what you find valuable out of it and then use your own head and make appropriate decisions for yourself.
Exactly.
We're all getting
Exactly.
ties, like we're becoming robots to our phones and chat GTP, and it's just, yeah. So
I
beware.
I can only imagine what the landscape of this is going to look like in 20 years from now, right? I'm going to be in my mid 80s,
Yeah,
and you know, are there going to be robots walking around taking care of me because pushing my wheelchair or whatever? I don't know, but who knows?
I think there's going to be like virtual information, like just hanging out in the sky, in the air.
Yeah, right in front of your face.
Yes, that's what I see happening.
So the next one, and you've done a really good job at this with Bella Properties, but is you building a strong team, and a lot of startups fail that, and they don't build a strong team.
I know that's such a discouraging thing too, because you have, I think, the best intentions. You want to, you need to hire people, but sometimes it's the wrong person.
Well, sometimes it's the wrong person, and sometimes you want to get stuff off your plate. I mean, gosh, you and I both have a lot on our plate, and you and I take up a lot of slack to pick up the pieces here and there with InvestQuire. But for Bella Properties, you do have a staff that help you, and
Yeah, creating the
getting
system.
yeah, getting the right people is key, right?
Yeah, you definitely want to have a team that share the vision and actually have their heart involved in it. Like they actually care about your company, basically, and they align with your goals of what we're building here. It's all it's you can't do it alone, so it's a team that really can make that happen for you. So just make sure that you have people on the team that align with you and your vision.
Yeah, I call it the passion, right? So it's great to have skill sets, but keep in mind, skill sets are past, right? They're in the past.
Mhm.
So what do you, of those skill sets, what specifically do you want them to do at your company, right? Just because you say, oh, I need somebody that knows accounting. What part of accounting? Accounts payable, accounts receivable, finance, general ledgers, all that stuff can be very detail orientated. And somebody who has generalized accounting, are they enough? I don't know. But you got to find somebody that has that passion and sees the vision that you see.
Yep, exactly.
Right. What's the next one, Lisa?
Underestimating your expenses, I guess that could be a problem if you don't know how to do math. I mean, definitely
Well,
want to make sure that you have a budget, right? And You have that pre-planned out in advance, so you're not having to take out loans and borrowing from, Sam and Sally and always taking out loans to just run your company, because that's really a sure way to run the company into the ground. So maybe have a budget and pre-plan in advance.
How many times have I said, you need to know every single day what your nut is, right? What is your number that you need to hit?
Yes, know your numbers.
You
And
need
if
to know
it's
your number.
seasonal, then prepare for the seasons, right?
Exactly, right? If you're a retail company, then you know that the holiday season is going to be much more volume than it's going to be in February and March and stuff like that, right? So adjust your inventory and staffing accordingly.
That's right. And then we have what? Neglecting your marketing and neglecting sales. Gosh,
You,
marketing is a huge part of it, and it's such a fun thing to do, I think. So you definitely want to make sure you have cutting edge marketing going out that speaks to the audience so that you receive the results in, clients and orders and profits.
exactly, and a lot of companies fail on this because they think they're starting a new business, they just open the doors and customers are going to walk in. Well,
I
how are they
know.
going to know that you're open if you don't tell them you're open in some fashion, right? And that's where marketing comes in.
And yeah, or some companies that we've dealt with kind of reach a plateau where they just can't seem to make any more money than where they're at. And it's because they don't have the budget for marketing, because they're not, spending their dollars wisely, or maybe haven't had a pre-planned, budget with that expense included. So the last one we just talked about, and marketing, they kind of go hand in hand, because you do have to make sure you have some sort of budget for marketing. And I think there are some free, opportunities out there for marketing. So not all types of marketing will cost you some money, but you just have to, research it and make sure that you have a budgeting plan in place for marketing, or a marketing strategy. A lot of people do like email people, and that basically is free, right?
Right. Facebook,
Advertise on
LinkedIn. Yeah.
Facebook. Yeah, that's free.
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah, exactly. You just have to come up with the copy for the ad, right? The graphics and then what you want to say.
Yeah.
One thing that I've always stressed in the companies that I've managed in the past, marketing and sales and advertising, marketing and advertising are kind of one and the same, but they're separate. They're really not part of this. They kind of do go together, and people group them together all the time, and it frustrates me because marketing and advertising are one thing, right? Where you're actually posting ads out there to attract the buyers. Sales, on the other hand, is works hand in hand with marketing. When those leads come in, then the sales team jumps in, takes those leads and works them into actual customers and sales.
Yeah, that's two different job roles for sure.
Exactly. And a lot of people and a lot of companies I see actually combine the two together, and then you lose out on one, right? Either the person's marketing and they're not selling, or they're selling but nothing's really coming in. So it's kind of a yin and yang, and they kind of work together, but yet they are separate.
Oh, totally. 100%.
And that's
Couldn't
where a
agree.
lot of businesses fail.
Right. And marketing is a whole huge job now in and of itself, with all the online platforms that you could, post your ads on. So it's time consuming to
It is.
create, post it, be consistent with it. And we've talked about that, branding your company and marketing it right. So that's where you could fail, just in that department alone.
Right. Yes, exactly. And the other one is losing focus. That right. This is number six, losing focus.
I know,
And
because life gets in the way.
it does. And it says losing focus, but really it's just focus in general, right? Because some people don't have focus to start with. It's not necessarily you've lost it. You never really had
Maybe they shouldn't be leading the company. They have to put somebody
it. Well,
in.
I have a really dear friend who owns a construction company up in Northern California. And he's his own worst enemy when it comes to this, because he's got ADD and ADHD and stuff like that. And so he'll focus on something for 30 seconds, and then he'll see a shiny object. And, oh, look at this. And then he's focused on that, and he'll spend an hour on that. But it's not as important as what he was just on, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
And
that's
so I try to always write down what my agenda is for the day and then stay on topic. I mean, life gets in the way, yes, and things kind of uh, step into that schedule. But you know me, I'm more of an analytical type of guy, and I don't want to say the word anal, but you know, I kind of have a structure.
Yeah, you break it down into pieces. I think that's how you operate best
Yeah.
is
Yes.
out and then you attack one at a time. Where some people are like, I got to do everything and then don't get anything done.
Yeah. And if I have to focus on a couple things at a time, what I do is I allocate, okay, I'm going to spend 30 minutes here, 30 minutes over here, and then I'll jump back if they're both as important and I need to get them out that day or whatever the case might be.
Right.
Unless I got the whole day to just, okay, the first morning is this and the afternoon's that. But focus is important.
Yes. And people get off track. So, that's okay. Just, be forgiving of that and know when it's time to pull it all together, right?
Exactly. You know, the next one and we briefly talked about this earlier on the very first topic, is customer feedback, ignoring it, right?
Yes, you definitely need to listen to your customers because that's who's giving you your ability to keep your doors open. They're the ones paying for the product and services. So they are always right. I always say your client is always right. So even if it's negative feedback, I mean, take that and learn from it.
I agree with you, but I beg to differ. I think the customer is mostly wrong all the time. And I say that with a grin on my face
Tend to
because, yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. Because there are many times in the past where customers have been completely off the mark, but you want to keep them as a customer. So you're going to give in to their demands, whatever the case might be, in order to get future sales out of them, right?
That's right.
They're not always right. Most of the time, they're wrong, actually.
Well, you
But
have to operate your company that way so that you do stay in business because you can really shoot yourself in the foot if you are not respectful to a client's criticism, complaints. They want to be heard and they want to feel like you're going to do something about it. So, I mean, you
I,
definitely have to treat them with delicate care.
I completely agree with that statement, Lisa. The fact that, no matter what, whether the customer is right or wrong, customer service is key. I mean, that's really how companies set themselves apart from one another nowadays, right? So if you are attentive and listening and caring for your customers, they're going to stick around instead of
Yeah,
going over to, your competitors. So you got to build that into your budget, right? So there's going to be times that you have a fluff going in of, customer satisfaction, whatever you want to call it on your general ledger, right? But that's going to be the bucket of money that you might have to spend in order to keep them as a customer.
right.
So,
Definitely. So,
so
yeah, we also have a couple more to talk about here. Poor cash flow management. So, like
right.
maybe you're not really great with your money budgeting or looking, or maybe you don't look at your numbers ever and you're overspending.
Yeah, and this goes back to what we already discussed too about underestimating your expenses, right? But
Yes.
if you don't know how much money you need to make daily and weekly and monthly, then how do you know whether you're going to be successful or not? And chances are real good you're not. You're going to fail.
Yeah. I mean, that has to be a goal, right? You have to put that out in front of your team and
Yeah.
have that daily goal so you can generate it. I mean, you have to operate with intentions, not just like, oh, half-assed.
Well, exactly. And the thing is let's talk about what is cash flow, right? People always ask, because they don't understand accounting. What's cash flow? Well, basically, cash flow is you've got your revenue coming in from all your sales, and then you got your expenses going out. So what's left over is your net profit. A lot of time, net profit and cash flow are one and the same.
Yep.
So
That's And sometimes people tie in their net profit, tie it all the way back into the business, and then you don't really have any cash flow for the.
yeah, exactly. I've always tried to in all of my businesses make sure that there is a percentage amount of the profits going back into the company, right?
Yeah,
So
typically. what people do.
Yes.
Or some people might just take all the cash flow and then use it for personal use, and then they have nothing when it comes time for marketing and advertising and that sort of thing. And then they're kind of stuck at a, like I said, like at a plateau and never
Yeah.
increase their business.
Right. So number 3, right? Now we're getting into really some of the big things that can really hurt your company if you don't do these things correctly. Is, not pricing your product correctly, right?
Yeah, you could be overpriced or you could be underpriced. You have to find that sweet spot. Sometimes people will price it below the competition so they can do volume at first in the beginning.
Right, and I mentioned this at the very first one, ignoring market research. This should be part of your market research, right?
Hmm.
And you should go out and see what your customer is charging for the same or similar products that you're selling. So if you're selling a tennis racket, say, and you can see tennis rackets range from $20 from the cheap models and $1,000 for the most expensive models. Where do you fit into that category? What's the quality of the product and the durability of it, so on and so forth. Those all play factors for you to determine where do you fit in that price range,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
So, but you need to know what's too little, what's too much. The thing is the customer is going to spend what the customer is going to spend, right?
Yeah, your market will probably tell you what they're willing to spend, right? I mean, so if they're buying one product more than another, then maybe that other product needs to be reevaluated. But yeah, definitely listen to the market. What is your top seller? What is, sitting on the shelf, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And maybe tweak it, or maybe do some marketing and advertising that, run some specials or promotions to get the client to want to engage in other services or other products that you offer. There's always a
Mhm.
way to be creative and have a strategy around it. So it does take some time and an effort to do that research, like Barry said, and then also see what the competition is bearing for it as well as your market. So a lot of variables go into pricing your products, right? You can't just like say, "Oh, I'm going to charge $5,000 for this," and hope that there's going to be a client. You have to actually look at what your market is saying about that service and that product.
Take a look at the pharmaceuticals, right? The EpiPen, remember the EpiPen was like $89 and it jumped to $800, right? And
Diabetes,
then,
yeah,
yeah,
insulin.
and then the CEO got pulled in from a Congress. He got arrested and going to jail for gouging, and it's an extreme example, but just understanding the market and what the market can do. Now, pharmaceutical and healthcare is kind of a captured market. You're kind of stuck in a rock and a hard spot. You don't have any alternatives to go to.
It's
But
just a little fraudulent stuff going on there. That's a whole podcast in and of itself.
well, I came from some
Pharmaceuticals.
healthcare, and I saw the fraud and stuff like that, and we were working to combat some of that stuff. But man, it's huge. And the funny thing of it is always politics are involved in that, right?
Oh yeah,
So
definitely. That's the scary part.
so you're getting gouged from all over the place. But anyways, we digress into that. Um,
Hey,
so
that's what
just yeah, that's all part of the podcast, right?
I
You
know. And
and you and I
people
pick topics and then we just chat about them.
and the audience probably they start thinking of different things too as we're bringing up these points, right? People start thinking about their own situations. So we encourage you to
Exactly.
reach out to us when you do, because we want to hear what you're going through, and we want you to be able to share it on the forum of our Facebook page, because then you may be helping somebody else. And it's all about paying it forward. Like when you're making mistakes or have a challenge in your business, share it openly on the Facebook page for the Biz Show or InvestQuire, so that people can kind of feel like they're not alone if they're going through something similar with their company, even if it's a completely different industry. I'm sure that you could help others.
Well said, Lisa. Well said.
I diverse.
Well, you basically did our ending of the podcast right there. It's
Yeah, we want
okay.
you guys to reach out. Seriously, these are serious issues. People don't know how to deal with them. And so we can all help each other, right?
Yes, we can. Absolutely. So we got a couple left.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of companies, brand new companies and startups, one of their biggest, and this is the second biggest one, is they scale too soon, right? And so they take on more than they can chew. And so, for instance, if you're a small computer company and you're selling computers, and then all of a sudden you get this huge order of 1,000 computers, can you honestly really handle that order
Right.
when you're
Yeah.
used to selling 10 at a time? I get it, and that's a customer you definitely want, but at a certain point, how effective are you going to be in that sell to provide the services they need to get those things and then the deliveries of them and everything else? Not unless you have a lot of help. Maybe you contract out to a distribution company to, you know, distribute them on a certain basis. But even do you have the cash flow to buy 1,000 computers versus 10?
Oh my gosh. I know. That's just it's such an exciting time because you're seeing the volume come in, but it's also really scary because then you're probably mismanaging some clients and making some mistakes that could cost you a lot of money in the profits.
You
I've
know,
been at
yeah.
firsthand. It's just looking back, you're like, oh man, I should have hired more people or, tried to navigate through that situation. But you just get so excited and caught up in the business that you're like overwhelmed and you don't even have the time to figure out how to remedy that situation. But
Well, here's a good example, right? Many, many, many moons ago, I owned a computer company, and we had this situation. It wasn't 1,000 computers, but it was many more computers that I was okay with handling, but I didn't have the cash flow for it, right? To purchase them and get it out. So I went and got a loan. And, I got a loan with X% of interest, which was more than the profit I was going to make on the sell. I ended up losing money,
yeah,
right? So you got to take all those variables into consideration, right? If you got to go out and borrow money, say $100,000 to buy all these computers,
yeah,
and it's at 19% interest, but you're only making in a
you're in denial.
hardware sales. Yeah, exactly. You're in denial.
And then your favorite one. You love your business plans and business models, and I totally encourage everyone to have one. But not having one or not having a clear one that's clearly spelt out with every step of your business, that could be a sure way to have failure happen. Right? And it's never too late. Maybe you do open the doors without a business model, but have one, start one, make one, share it with your team, right?
Even if it's on a napkin that you've done at a restaurant, right?
Yeah,
So put
exactly.
some bullet items down, but know where you're heading. So, if you're driving your car, and you made this analogy in the past, if you're driving from San Francisco to New York, you need a roadmap to get you there, GPS or something, right? So GPS is the new roadmap.
Yep.
Um, you need to know how to get there. You just don't start driving down the road and
No, don't operate your business blindly. And all of the things that we talked about have to do with that. Be very aware, keep your eyes wide open, and put stuff on a napkin, put stuff on a piece of paper. You don't have to have this big, huge, elaborate, fancy graph and charts business plan, but you can write it down on a napkin, simple as that, right?
right, exactly. Um, you know, that's the top 10 items. And by the way, this isn't just my list. This is from many CEOs, and many startups and entrepreneurs have kind of helped, foster this list. But there are a couple other bonus items too, right? Um, and we don't have to go into details on any of these, but wearing too many hats, you mentioned this earlier, Lisa, right? Hire the right staff and stuff like that, so that you can spend more time focusing on, the strategy of the company.
Right.
As a CEO, you are the visionary of the company, and as a CEO, they should always spend at least 1 to 2 hours a day in their office sitting back doing nothing but strategizing where the company's going, looking at the numbers, looking at all this stuff, and then focusing on what's next,
That's right.
right? the
Yeah.
others the others are thinking that you need to be the first to market.
Hmm.
You don't need to be the first to market,
It's
right?
the right.
Matter of fact, most of the times being first to market is detrimental to the health of the company.
Mm-hmm.
What you need
Yeah.
to be is like 3M or BSF, where you enhance the product that's already out there, right? Make it better.
Yes, exactly. Be the In-N-Out burger of the fast food chain.
Exactly, right. They're late in the market. McDonald's was there, Burger King was there long before they were, but they look at
Let's be
themselves.
serious. Wouldn't you rather have an In-N-Out burger than a McDonald's or Burger King? I think
That
you're
or
getting all meat.
exactly. You know,
Yes.
and one of the things that to me is dear to my heart is really not understanding what motivates your employees, your staff,
Oh,
right?
yeah. You always take
If
concern
because
about culture.
yeah, money is not always the factor, right? Sometimes it's the culture, sometimes it's the title, sometimes it's, it's a bunch of different things. I've always classified employees as climbers, hikers, and runners, right? You get your climbers who really like tackling and unlocking, whatever is obstacles in front of them, right? And then you got your hikers that are even pace, and they'll take a project and they'll work it and they're true, tested, so on and so forth. And that's then you got your runners who just grab that project and run like crazy with it. Um, all of them going to make mistakes, but all of them are also going to be spot on too. So just you need to know what motivates your people and where they fit into what category they fit into and how you manage them.
Yes, so you can leverage their talents for sure. Yeah, so those are all extra bonuses for you guys to think about when opening up a company, or maybe you're knee deep into your company and you're realizing there's some things that need to be tweaked. So
Exactly.
hopefully, yeah, you're able to identify them. That's what we
Ex-
hope for you guys.
Hopefully, and if not, as Lisa said earlier, reach out to us, Lisa and I. You can catch us on the Biz Show Facebook group or at investquire.com. We're happy to answer your questions and help you get through any challenges and hurdles you may have.
That's right. And you guys make it a great week or weekend, and we'll talk to you next time.
Yes, guys. Good night or goodbye.
Goodbye.